So before we begin, let's quickly define some key terms we're going to be discussing today. So inclusive learning. This is about being proactive. It's designing for everyone from the start and not just making changes later on. So when we design for disabled students, it benefits everybody. Universal design for learning, or UDL. This is a framework and it has three main principles, which is multiple ways to engage, which is to keep students interested, multiple ways to represent information, which is to provide in different formats, and multiple ways to take action and express learning, which is to give them choices. And by digital accessibility, this is our commitment to ensuring that all our digital materials can be used by everyone, regardless of their ability. And crucially, in UK higher education, this is not just good practice, it is a legal requirement as well to ensure equal opportunity. So how does generative AI fit into this? Gen AI and UDL. Gen AI can help us meet UDL principles. It can provide information in diverse forms. It can simplify complex language. It can offer personalized and on-demand support. However, a note of caution, Gen AI is not a silver bullet, as we know. It's not inherently accessible or bias-free. We must maintain human oversight to avoid what we call techno-ableism, where technology excludes rather than includes. Now, to see some of this in action, I'm going to pass over to Steve, who will be showcasing some different generative AI assistive technologies.
Thank you. Share. Share. Screen 2. And share. Can you see my screen there?
Yep.
Lovely. Okay, so although AI is a relatively new concept, ChatGPT, etc., it's been incorporated into assistive technology for some time in one format or another. So whether that be text-to-speech, speech-to-text, or transcripts and captioning. So I'm going to show you 5 short videos covering a range of aspects of how AI is integrated into assistive technology. You'll see support for the visually impaired, JAWS, Picture Smart AI, and Seeing AI, followed by MindView, Goblin Tools, and Genie.io, which demonstrates a range of disability support. So the first one you'll see is Picture Smart AI. So JAWS is the main application for visually impaired users using a Windows device. The incorporation of Picture Smart AI has taken the application to new levels. So JAWS is only available for Windows users. Mac users will need to use VoiceOver on a Mac, but VoiceOver will also read images without alt text if you enable image descriptions within the voice pane. So, start video.
A woman typing on a keyboard, browsing the web using JAWS.
Virtual PC. Venn diagram examples. Venn diagram example formula explanation graphic.
Have you ever encountered an image that didn't have descriptive text? Well, we updated a feature in JAWS to offer a solution.
Space. P. Picture Smart. Picture Smart is in progress.
We're excited to introduce you to our new feature, Picture Smart AI in JAWS. It's designed to enhance digital interactions by providing detailed descriptions of images, making visual content more accessible.
Picture Smart is in progress. The image shows a 3-circle Venn diagram with overlapping sections labeled to represent the logical relations between 3 different sets A, B, and C.
Picture Smart AI broadens JAWS capabilities by offering AI-generated descriptions for images, including screenshots, charts, PowerPoint slides, and photos, further enhancing accessibility to digital content.
A PowerPoint slide.
Heading Level 2 Claude. The image appears to be a thank you slide or presentation slide. The background is in shades of blue.
A social media post with an image.
The image is from LinkedIn featuring a collage of photos from an assistive technology conference. It shows people engaging at different exhibition, booths, and a presentation. Brand names of assistive.
Home photos.
Heading Level 2 ChatGPT. The image displays 2 dogs resting on a dark blue sofa or bed. The dog on the left is a brownish-tan color.
And you can even chat within Picture Smart AI for more info about the image.
Ask ChatGPT questions about this image link. Type a question : edit.
Tell me more about the colors of the sunset.
The sky is dominated by warm shades of orange and yellow, which cast a golden hue over the scene.
Bring images to life with Picture Smart AI, only on JAWS and Fusion. Visit.
So that was a Picture Smart AI. You're now going to see Seeing AI. It's a free application for both Apple and Android devices.
Seeing AI is a Microsoft research project for people with visual impairments. The app narrates the world around you by turning the visual world into an audible experience. Point your phone's camera, select a channel, and hear a description. The app recognizes saved friends,
Jenny near top right, 3 feet away.
describes the people around you, including their emotions.
28-year-old female wearing glasses looking happy.
It reads text out loud as it comes into view, like on an envelope
Ken Lawrence, P.O. Box,
or a room entrance,
Conference 2005.
or scan and read documents like books and letters. The app will guide you and recognize the text with its formatting.
Top and left edge is not visible. Hold steady. Lease agreement. This agreement
When paying with cash, the app identifies currency bills.
$20.
When looking for something in your pantry or at the store, use the barcode scanner with audio cues to help you find what you want.
Campbell's tomato soup.
When available, hear additional product details.
Heated microwave bowl on height.
And even hear descriptions of images in other apps like Twitter by importing them into Seeing AI.
A close-up of Bill Gates.
Finally, explore our experimental features like scene descriptions to get a glimpse of the future.
I think it's a young girl throwing a frisbee in the park.
Experience the world around you with the Seeing AI app from Microsoft.
So that was Seeing AI. I'm going to show you 3 more videos. So I have to apologize for the amount of videos, but it's easier to see them in action than try and describe what they do. So the next one you're going to see is Mind View. So the AI function incorporated into Mind View keeps all the functions associated with mind mapping applications, whilst adding a new level of AI functionality. Let's excuse the commentary on this as one I made myself.
Okay, this is a quick overview of the AI functions in Mind View. Mind View is a mind mapping software. So we're going to create a subject here. AI for disabled users. Click away, add the box so it's active. And across our toolbar here, you can see the AI function. So I'm just going to drop this down. Get various options, create topics, which is the one I'm going to use now. There's create a text note, which I will show you shortly. Translate, which will translate to various languages. But we're going to create topics. So let's, for example, let's brainstorm on this one. So it goes away, communicates with OpenAI. Give it a second. It then starts creating our subtopics of our main topic. It's a little bit laggy today. But there we go. So it creates subtopics of our main topic in communication, mobility, accessibility, etc. I'm going to now create a new topic, which is going to use the same one as previously. So I'm going to insert central topic again, AI for disabled users. This time we're going to use pros and cons. So click on it, give it a second, and we'll now start creating subtopics of our main topic. So you've got pros on the left hand side and cons on the right hand side. We'll now use the text note editor. So I'm just going to put a basic bit of text in there. So AI is useful for disabled users because it's helpful. So not a lot of text there, but click on it, add text, back to the home, drop our AI function on again. And this time I'm going to use the edit text. So you can see it will fix grammar, it will rephrase, it will simplify. But since we've only done a small body of text, we're going to expand it. And now we'll take our one line little bit of text and expands it into something a lot more useful. As with everything with AI, it depends on what you put into what you'll get back. So we've just done basic ones, AI for disabled users, and a small bit of text. The more you put in, the more AI will go around and give you more solutions. So that's similar to what it does with ChatGPT, but within Mind View, you're keeping all the functions of the mind mapping software. So you can add attachments, you can read aloud, you can insert images, you can put a text note, a audio note in there, etc., etc. Keeping all the functions of your general mind mapping software, but with the AI capability.
Okay, so it's mind view. I'm going to show you Goblin tools now. So Goblin tools can assist neurodiverse students in multiple ways, including breaking down tasks into smaller, manageable steps to reduce anxiety. Goblin tools is a free application. This is Goblin tools. It's a free application. It allows you to break down large tasks into smaller steps. So for example, I'm going to type in writing a dissertation, and we're going to add the task. There's your task added. You can use voice control to enter the task. And just a quick note, these 3 chilies are how much you want to break the task down into. So 5 being the most steps, 1 being the least. So once we have our task, we click on the magic wand, and this will then break it down into smaller steps for you. Once we have our steps, we can break these down even further by clicking on the magic wand next to the step. So if you give a second, and there we go. It's broken down even further for you. Once you've completed that step, tick the box. If it's not relevant, you can tick it and delete it, like so. You can add as many tasks as you want. So we'll add another one, just as an example. Let's say writing a song, and add it. And there's our second task. And again, as before, we can break this down using the magic wand, and it will break that down into smaller steps for us. There are other options across the toolbar here. So formalizer, turn chaotic thoughts into classy ones, or vice versa. A judge, so you can judge the tone of someone's of an email or someone sent you. So, for example, I'm too busy. Stop sending me more work. You can judge it. I think we can all judge the tone of this email. But there we go. So sense of frustration and overwhelm. So you can suggest a response. So a more sympathetic response. Give me a crash course. So again, we can just put in, say, for example, the Big Bang Theory, and I'll give you a quick overview of what the Big Bang Theory was. So how the universe started, and a basic overview. Consultant, pros and cons of something. So let's do AI in the workplace. Give advice, and this will give you pros and cons of AI in the workplace. There we go. Pros down one side, cons down the left. There's a couple of other things as well. How long is a task going to take? Compiler. So again, you can enter something here and then turn it into a task. Chef is if you've got just to make some food ingredients. So you can type whatever you want, whatever you got left in the fridge. Back into our task menu very quickly. Once we completed our task, to stop becoming too overcomplicated, we can clear the entire list or clear complete lists. This will obviously make it more manageable and easier to understand. And that's a quick overview of Goblin tools. So just one more to go. So this is Genie.io, used to be called Glean, and then audio note taking before that. So it's had a few name changes. So it's helpful on so many levels, including improvement in note taking and transcribing audio files for live recordings, and also from web pages. Licenses are available from me for university staff and students upon request.
Keeping up in class can be tough. You've got to strike a delicate balance between paying attention to what's being said and writing notes at the same time. It can be overwhelming to say the least, and can ultimately distract you from learning effectively. Genio Notes makes it easy to take meaningful notes while ensuring nothing is missed from class. So how does it work? It all starts by recording your class, whether in person or remote. Genio Notes captures your slides while you keep track of your thoughts as you listen with timestamped notes. Break up your notes with headings and use labels to easily mark points of the class that were important or require later review. Use the scribble feature to hand-draw diagrams, equations, and graphs alongside your notes. Effective learning isn't just about taking notes, it's about engaging with the material in a way that is meaningful to you. Returning to your notes after class is vital for effective learning, and Genio Notes AI-powered tools help you filter your notes down to the most valuable content. Outline condenses your class down to the core themes, making it effortless to find key information. Generate quizzes based on your class content with our AI-powered tool QuizMe and actively engage in encoding what you've learned. Structure your study time with Focus Timer, setting a deadline and getting statistics for each study session. Genio Notes is full of features to enhance learning for everyone. From real-time text captions to audio cleanup tools, class collections, and centralized task lists. But don't let that overwhelm you. Start with the basics and watch how quickly your learning experience improves. When you're ready, access our extensive resources to learn more about how Genio Notes can take your learning to the next level.
Marvellous. There we go. Hopefully those short videos are giving you an insight into the way AI has incorporated itself into many of the assistive technology applications that are available for students and staff alike. So the one thing to bear in mind is that funding for disabled students will only be granted to DSA approved applications. So ChatGPT, the paid version, and other applications we've seen mentioned at this AI festival, notably Notebook LM, for example, they aren't funded by the Disabled Students Allowance. So this doesn't prevent students from using the free versions or indeed purchasing the full application themselves, or as I've shown there, accessing the alternative free software such as CNAA and Goblin tools, as I've shown in this presentation. So apologies for the video overload, but I think sometimes it's easier to see the actual applications in action rather than just try and describe what they do. And that's me done, nice and quick.
Thanks for that, Steve. That was really useful. I'll share my screen now just so we can move around. So let me just do this. Give me a second. Okay, mine's come on there. Let's bring yourselves back on Zoom for me. There was a question, Steve, in the chat from Andrew just around the use of Goblin, if it's better than what ChatGPT could do. So if you wouldn't mind answering in the chat, I'll crack on with presenting the slides here, if that's all right.
Yeah,
so my section, I'm going to talk about just Gen AI and accessibility within our virtual learning environments, which here at Liverpool, it's Canvas. And for those external, I know you might be on some other sort of virtual learning environment systems, but it might give you an insight on obviously what Canvas is capable of and what tools we've got as well. The company that owns Canvas is known as Instructure. They're based in the States, but they have like a European-based team. And they had their big conference a couple of months ago called InstructureCon. So they sort of announced their big new features that they're going to obviously implementing AI into the VLE a little bit further. So we should see some of these products appear later on. Now, I'll put the link in the chat after I've done my presentation for any of the links I've got on here. And for those in the recording, you'll have, who are going to watch it later, you'll have access to the slides. So they're looking to embed something called Ignite AI, which is a sort of chatbot feature that will work alongside when you're developing content and building anything within there, and also available for students as a sort of chatbot for help as well. So they sort of showed that off as like their new big tool. I'm not sure what model is behind it, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini, but it looked good from the screenshots that they've got on the roadmap. They've opened up something called LLM enabled assignments. So again, when you're building the assignments, it works like a sort of wizard tool. And then that is built on OpenAI, and it sort of guides you on what you want to put in there, how it links to outcomes. And they've also going to announce something called Canvas Career as well, which will allow you to embed skills and signpost to students how the assignment meets that criteria. So if any of you are working in a career-based sort of subject area, or even thinking about embedding career opportunities into your assessments, that might be useful. We are trialing as a university Plato AI, a separate tool, onto Canvas. That's closed now, unfortunately, for any takers to take up the trial. But we've got a number of courses that are going to trial it over the next academic year. Plato AI is, again, a support bot for both staff and students that they can access. It sort of analyzes the content that's in the course. Students can use it to sort of generate queries or handouts or revision questions, that sort of thing. So we'll obviously keep people updated how that goes over the next year. Now I've got some screenshots here of just things that they have said, as in Canvas have said, are going to come immediately into the system. Again, they're not fully to support students with accessibility needs. It's for all students, but they will obviously align to obviously their needs as well. So the first one is this smart search. We do have a search functionality in Canvas, but it's not the best. So this is going to be an AI-powered one that will search through course content, everything that's in there, and bring back results. It says here that obviously it can understand different contexts as well and queries, and it takes on multiple languages. So you can see from the little play button there of someone just searching for something in a certain language, and it's bringing up obviously pages and files or anything that it's got. So that's quite a nice feature we should see soon. This one will be useful. So if anyone uses discussions or discussion boards, that you can generate a summary of the discussion. So again, sort of the AI will build a sort of summarize button, as you can see there on the video, and it sort of generates a little bit of a paragraph on what was discussed, what areas were there as well. So you can keep using that, and sort of updates the more students and staff input into that area. It says here as well, when you do create the summary, you can sort of tailor it to your needs. So if it's I don't know, FAQs around the course, you might want to look at like timetabling queries, or it might be something around assessments. I think you can sort of search by those sorts of tags. And translation's the big one as well that they're sort of pushing. We've got an immersive reader in Canvas, which is based on the Microsoft Immersive Reader, but this one's a little bit further with more AI built into it. It'll translate most of the content in Canvas. They're highlighting inbox messages and discussions as the main area. 100+ languages as well, so great for our international students to be able to translate into their own language. And it's powered by the Amazon web server as well, so it'll obviously always update as they're sort of building on that model as well. The updates should translate into Canvas as well. Now, in terms of accessibility within Canvas, there's not a lot in terms of AI functionality, but I just wanted to highlight some of the tools and sort of the metrics that we have got that we can sort of measure, sort of if we're aligning to good practice. So I've got a link again in here that'll link you to Canvas's own instructions around accessibility. We have got Blackboard Ally enabled. If you don't know what that is, when you're in Canvas, it is the small dials that appear next to content in a sort of green, amber, and red colouring. I had a look at the stats this morning, because we are trying to aim for a sort of 70% or plus. What it does, just to let you know, if you're not aware of it, it scans any documents or content, and it produces a score between 0 and 100% on what is being met by good accessible standards. So if you're missing things like alt text on images, headings on documents, the score will go lower. But if you are meeting them, then it obviously increases. Last year, we were meeting a score of 55.9% across all courses, and that has now jumped up a little bit by 57.7%. So we are getting there. Ideally, we've discussed this as an accessibility team or working group. We want to get course content up to at least 70% or more, but it's a slow battle that we're sort of getting there in terms of small wins. Now, like I said, there's an immersive reader that's automatically applied. So there's nothing as a member of staff that you need to do for students. It just automatically appears. I should say with Ally as well, that gives students the ability to download alternative files to content. So a page or a Word document that can be converted into something like a sound file or a tagged PDF. I've highlighted here about user settings as well, because I don't think a lot of students and staff are aware that you can sort of alter Canvas to have a certain look and feel. It can do things like highlight hyperlinks. If you're colorblind, it can change the color of the background of it. And the new feature is they've got a dyslexic font that can be applied on Canvas as well. It's just under the account button. I've put a message here, spoke to Steve about this. There is a dyslexic friendly font that can be enabled via install uni apps for anyone from Liverpool. It's just on your dashboard on your computer. And if you have a look through there, there's a dyslexic friendly fonts tool that you can be enabled for all sorts of tools that you're going to be using. This is just a screenshot of our top issues that we've got at the moment that Ally has picked up. So you can see at the top, we've got 67,000 plus issues where an image doesn't have a description or alt text. So that's our biggest issue. Contrast issues is second. And then it sort of follows with 3 about not having a description, missing titles, missing headings. So these are sort of easy wins that Ally can probably help with, because it sort of guides you when you do use it and how that can be corrected. We just want to highlight this around academic integrity. So we don't have a detector at Liverpool in terms of being able to detect the use of AI. We do still have the Turnitin similarity report. So if you're going to be using the speed grader tool or Turnitin itself, that can be applied, so you can check for that. I've got a link in here to the University of Liverpool's recent learning and teaching and assessment guidance on what's acceptable for AI use and not. That has been updated over the summer. And these are just some tips on here and how we can make certain improvements, or tips on how you can sort of detect it on here. So I know it's not everyone's favorite in schools, but we've always found in CIE that allowing students to see that similarity report can sometimes be helpful for students to correct the sort of how the referencing or what that sort of score produces. We're seeing a lot of students go elsewhere or use third-party tools to generate that. There's obviously a risk where students' work is then being sold on by third-party tools or companies. Inclusive assessment design is always useful as well. You know, redesigning your rubrics, having different alternative assessment formats available for students, try and make it more sort of inclusive that way, as well as reasonable adjustments are available in Canvas if you need to give students extra time, whether that's on an online exam or submitting some work. And then they're just some tips for students if you've got any students who are struggling with obviously being detected or worrying of using Gen AI on there as well. So I won't go through those, but just things around like the support plan, speaking to the disability advice and guidance team. Someone like Steve will be able to help as well with what technology is available for students if anyone is struggling too. There's a slide with just all help. This is more for people here in the University of Liverpool. If you do need any support around any of those areas, do have a look at those. A lot of the bullet points on the first section can be directed in Canvas. We've got a lot of resources that you can look at, but do contact us in CIE or IT or Steve himself if you've got any help. Just remember that the second to last point there, the disability advice and guidance team will have students on campus who work as disability coaches and can help with students or staff drop in between 11 and 2 in the Allsop building during term time. Right, I think that's me. I'm going to pass on to Kat, if that's all right. Kat, do you want me to keep sharing my screen, or do you want to share your own? What's better
No,
for you?
that's okay. I can share mine.
Okay, well, while you do that, I'll put some links in the chat for those, some of those slides that I had.
Let me just minimize this so I can see. So, thinking about accessibility differently, what if we didn't have to wait for students to need an accommodation? What if we could build it in from the start? That is kind of what generative AI is allowing us to do. So it helps us to design for 3 core principles of learning. So how we present information. So generative AI allows us to offer multiple means of representation. You can take a complex text and instantly create a simplified version, a visual summary, or even like an audio file, as Ben says. You can see how this would benefit a wide range of learners right from the get-go. Also, how students interact with the material. So generative AI provides multiple means of engagement, and this can be a personalized guide, a quiz generator, like there is in like Plato, which we've got at the university, or an encouraging study buddy that keeps students on track. And also how students show what they know. Generative AI also supports multiple means of action and expression. Whether a student's struggling with writer's block or needs help outlining their ideas, Gen AI can assist with them in their planning or expressing themselves. And the impact is huge. So Gen AI completely flips the script and shifts accessibility from reactive accommodations to proactive integrated design. So how does generative AI empower students directly? For students with disabilities, Gen AI can be a powerful support. It can help with complex academic tasks like explaining difficult concepts, summarizing long texts and structuring essays, which can significantly reduce anxiety associated with these challenges. However, we must also address the potential concerns as well. So these include the risk of inaccuracy, as there always is with Gen AI, issues of academic integrity and financial barriers that can create digital inequality. So this highlights the need for dedicated Gen AI training and policy development that includes the voices of disabled students and staff members as well. Gen AI also offers crucial support for our international and multilingual students as well. It provides like an invisible support system through features like instant translation and advanced grammar checking, and helps them navigate a new language and academic culture with more confidence. But also we must talk about the digital divide as well. So just because Gen AI tools exist, it doesn't mean that all students have equal access or even the skills to use them effectively. So we need to ensure equitable institution-wide access and provide comprehensive AI literacy training for all students and for staff, not just those who are already digitally confident. So this is something we are working on at the university as well. We've got new policy in place, but it's increasing the confidence for all students that we really need to focus on. So now let's look at the other side of the coin. How does Gen AI help us as staff members? So this isn't obviously about replacing us, it's about giving us these powerful new assistants. Ben will be showcasing some of these in action. So firstly, we've got Notebook LM. So you feed in your research, your documents, even videos, and it can help you synthesize the information, find connections, and pull out some key ideas with citations as well. Obviously, this is a massive time saver for research and generating new ideas for a lecture, or even creating like a presentation outline. And the audio and video features and overviews are good for creating accessible multimodal content as well, which was mentioned in yesterday's session. Next, also, we have custom GPTs. So these are your own tailored GPT instances. They provide personalization, formative feedback to students at scale. It can also be used to create automated assessment support and targeted learning interventions like digital tutors or specialized study guides. And they address a major pain point for all of us, which is time. So with the Plato demo that we're going to be having, with the Plato, pilot that we're going to be having, this is going to hopefully be a time saver for all staff that get the same questions from students again and again. And finally, we can look at the bigger picture of course design and admin as well. So Gen AI can handle many of the routine admin tasks that takes us away from teaching or from preparing information. This could include things like drafting assessments and rubrics to check in if your resources align with course objectives. So we do have quite a lot of custom GPTs within the University of Liverpool. Obviously only helpful for those of us that are at the university, but I'm sure other institutions possibly have their own as well. But they're very useful. But the most important point here is that Gen AI empowers us to shift our focus. It lets us spend less time on administration and more on pedagogical design and the really important, meaningful work. So we need to reframe our thinking about Gen AI from a single focus tool to a shared interdependent ecosystem. On one side, we've got the staff who are the architects of the learning environment and their roles to use Gen AI to design for inclusivity. And on the other side, we have students who are the active participants and creators. So they must be equipped to use Gen AI responsibly as authors and learners, which involves teaching them about AI literacy, what it is, how it works, and its limitations as well, along with the ethical considerations and the importance of being transparent about their use. So this session will conclude with a hands-on alt text challenge. We'll be putting these tools to the test and see how they perform on different images and highlight the importance of human oversight and the need for a critical eye. But firstly, a bit of background information before we dive into that. So alt text and image descriptions are essential for making digital content accessible to people with visual impairments. So according to the WCAG, or Web Content Accessibility Guidance, every non-text element, including images, must have a text alternative. This is where Gen AI can be a real game changer. So traditionally, alt text has been a manual and really time-consuming task, but Gen AI changes this by using the computer vision and natural language processing to automatically analyze an image, like we saw with Steve's demo earlier, and generates a new description. So this shifts the process from being quite tedious and intensive to being an automated one. So GenAI will see the tool, identify objects, people, colors, the overall scene, and then use their language models to create a human-readable description based on that analysis. So I'll have a look at a couple of examples of this. So GenAI tools like Google Gemini, ChatGPT, Copilot, they can be prompted to generate alt text. So you can upload an image to these and ask for a short, concise description for alt text, or a longer, more detailed one description for a visually impaired user if it's not been added as alt text. And there's also specialized tools as well. So there's a website called alttext.ai and other tools like this which are built specifically for this purpose. So they can automate alt text generation for an entire image library at once. I think with alttext.ai, you get 25 free uses, I think, before you have to sign up for like an account. But let's compare this maybe with the older methods like Microsoft's auto-generated alt text in things such as Word or PowerPoint. So while Microsoft's tool is helpful, its descriptions are often very literal and not as sophisticated as with GenAI models. So they might say, for instance, I got an image on screen here, and Microsoft would say a computer screen with text on it, which is accurate, yes, but it's not giving the information necessarily required. Whereas a GenAI tool like Google Gemini would give a more accurate description, such as an Apple iMac displaying a Canvas Bus assignment Word document with yellow highlighted text and comments in a right-hand panel positioned on a desk with a keyboard and mouse, which is a much richer and more useful description. So this highlights the key difference between traditional auto-generation, where it's often a basic function, and modern GenAI tools, which can provide a lot more nuanced, context-aware descriptions. So I'm going to pass over to Ben now for the alt text challenge and a showcase of GenAI tools that we have.
Thanks, Kat. Yeah, I will take over the screen. Have I got this link in here? Let me just see if I've pasted it. Yeah, so I've got a link to a Padlet, which I'll put in the chat first, and I'll share my screen. Please couldn't share, yes. So like Kat said, we've got a couple of things that we wanted to sort of pass on to yourselves and also showcase. So before, let's see how your skills are with alt text. So if you click on the Padlet link, it will take you to something which will have 3 images on it, which I'll show you in a second. And we'll see what sort of feedback we get from yourselves if you can come up with the description based on the context. And you can choose one of the options, which I'll show you in a second. But I'll also demo Notebook LM and a custom GPT that we've been working on in CIE. I know you might have seen both of these at earlier talks, but I just thought it might be good to see it again just through the lens of from an accessibility point of view. So let's do the alt text challenge first. If I come out of this. Oh, and we don't want to see that. Okay, so you should have the Padlet link there. If you don't, I'll bring back the slide if you want to use the QR code instead. And what you can see on Padlet, if you've not used it before, it's a bit like an online notice board. So we've got some stuff already on here. There's columns, and Kat has kindly provided some images on here. So if you want to take one of these rather than going through all 3, if we just spend a couple of minutes on these, have a look at the image and then choose one of the context descriptions that Kat's provided. So there's A or B that you can sort of choose there. So if we choose like the first one in A, we're looking for obviously at an image of a guy who's looking through books, and the context A is an article about the importance of libraries and community spaces. So there's a little bit more description around here. So if you need to make a reply, all you need to do is you can either do it via clicking on add comment at the bottom, which will then allow you to sort of add your own sort of thing. Or if you choose the plus button at the top, which I find a bit easier, you can start to write your response and just hit publish, and it should appear on the bottom there. So it'll be good to see what you can come up with, because it's quite, obviously there's no wrong answer, but it's obviously just good to see the difference on how people perceive the image and what level of detail they go into. So if we just give ourselves a couple of minutes, I've got it as 11:43. If we take it till about 11:45 or 6, if you want to just have a go at just posting at least one, and we'll have a little review of what they look like. So I'll keep my screen shared on here. And I'm going to figure out on the other screen how I can bring you all up full screen. That's it. If you've got any questions as well, feel free about this anyway. We've got some time at the end to ask any questions on our whole presentation at the end, but any questions on the Padlet, just let us know as well.
I was gonna say, if anyone really wants a challenge, they'll go for the one of the abstract art, which, ooh, I don't know if there is a right or wrong answer for that one.
You might have had one come through. All right. Oh, there we go. Got a couple there. Okay, I'll give it a couple more seconds. I can see someone's writing a draft at the moment. There's a couple more people writing. I can see normally on Padlet, you can see here at the top if anyone's sort of working on it. Someone's been using ChatGPT. Some more coming through. Okay. Some interesting stuff in here. I feel like Kat, you've had a head start on this one, but they are obviously very descriptive of the person. Yeah, being more descriptive, not just a bookshelf. It's more crowded, cozy library. And we've got one from the Defiant Ostrich of Man in Library selecting book, which obviously is, isn't it? But we probably might need a little bit more context on what you can see, because you can imagine a screen reader. It might be a bit more harder to visualize that on there. And we've got another one, person in library selecting book from shelf. Exactly what it says on the tin there, but do you reckon there might be improvement on that one, Kat, or?
I think it depends on the, yeah, if it was for context A, I think that would be pretty good. But for context B, we know nothing of the fashion.
Yeah. The ChatGPT one has obviously gone into quite a lot of description there. Group of students sitting outside, working together. It's even painting the picture and focusing on two students. A lot of Barracuda ones has come up on there as well. Smiling University sitting outdoors.
I think this is like, it highlights the importance of having the context of images as well. So obviously, you know, we're never having just images on their own. There's always context around them, whether it be words or a title or description or something. So making sure you include that context if you do use Gen AI, so that the picture kind of fits seamlessly into it with the description. Very important.
Yeah. And got on there about pictures as well with the artist and the name, which again is great. Obviously highlights it, but we don't know what the picture looks like, how's it described, which is quite difficult. You have given people a difficult image there to try and describe. But yeah, like you said, it just highlights that importance, and as well as, I think you mentioned that you did mention it, as obviously the tools like Office 365 now allowing the ability to produce a standard description, but it just doesn't go far enough. It does need that fact checking or a human eye, doesn't it, to sort of go in.
Absolutely.
Oh, Mohammed's added some. Oh, Mohammed's done an interesting description with ChatGPT, which isn't a bad. That's not bad, is it? Really?
Mm. It definitely describes it pretty accurately.
Yeah.
The
And
thing to remember though with alt text is obviously all of that will be read out to the visually impaired user who can't see the image. So sometimes I know you put the context in there, but putting like 2 paragraphs worth of text for something for an image that isn't overly important to the concept of the idea is a bit too much for someone, because that will read out everything that is said. So if you're trying to, like, for example, if it's a brochure and attracting students to the university, the image itself isn't the overwhelming factor. The contents of the text will more be the important bit. So a brief explanation of what the picture is absolutely fine, because then the students then got to listen to the rest of the text. So if you spend, like, say, a minute and a half listen to an image describing students outside the university with laptops, blah, 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 then you might take away the focus of what the text is actually going to be. It's just my thought.
Yeah.
And I've seen the way visually impaired students use like voice over a Mac. It just whizzes through. Like, we read it slowly. The visually impaired students, it's honestly, it's like 100% speed. It's blah 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 blah. It's brilliant the way they do it, to be fair. So that's all I'm saying. If you're considering how important is the picture to the actual overall document, is and then tailor what the alt text is going to be to that as well, I would say.
Yeah. No, thanks, Steve. And that's a good point you made there. I think even when we saw your examples, your videos, we could hear the text speeding up when it was describing, like when it had that image of the woman and it was saying like 26 blonde, 3 meters away or whatever it was saying. It was quite quick, wasn't it, what it was coming out with? But yeah, you're right with everything that you've said there. All right, what I'll do is I'll demo the other tools then. See, we've lost a couple of people, but for those of you still here, I'm just going to show you Notebook LM and the GPTs that we're looking at. So you might have seen this before, Notebook LM, in other talks, or you might have already played around with it. If you haven't, I'll just give a very brief, quick overview of what you can do. So you can sign up for free with this, or you can get a paid for version through the paid for Gemini. I think Google have enabled the free 12-month Pro access to Gemini again as we speak on what date are we on, 11th of September. They did have the 18-month one over the summer, but that ended. But I think if you've got a .ac.uk account, you can register and get the Pro version. I'm on the free one just because I just wanted to show the free version on here. So how it works is you go to this link, and when you create a new notebook, what you can do is you can grab multiple papers or documents and throw them in here. And what it does is it sort of detangles it all, and you can start interrogating all the content on here. So I think I've got some files on here from a previous demo I've done. Not in there. Bear with me a second. I think it's under my AI folder. Yeah, so you're going to have to sadly hear about Bruce Springsteen in a minute. So I found some articles online about Bruce Springsteen. I can't remember where they're from now, probably from magazines and journal articles. Maybe someone's done a PhD on it. So you can see here, it sort of pulls them in. You can find your own as well by clicking on the Discovery tool. This is quite nice. That wasn't available on the free one, but they seem to have updated it since. And you start finding more sources that way as well. Saves you having to go into like Google Scholar or just even searching for them. So you can see there it's coming up with some, and you can sort of click on the links here. But anyway, what you can do then is when you have them all in here, it can produce things like an overview and make notes. But if I want to start interrogating these, I can say something along the lines of, can you tell me more about Bruce's music taste in British music and the impact it had on here. And obviously what it'll do is it'll go through the articles. It starts highlighting things that are from the keywords that I've got on here. And there's little numbers where it's sort of pulling out the source of it. So if I click on that, it generates the article, which is this 1999 PDF, and sort of goes straight to it. And you can start sort of suggesting other sort of prompts there. I think I've just clicked on something there and it's also going to generate it. So this might be useful for things like if you've got a reading list on your course, or obviously from an accessibility point of view, for students who's being overwhelmed with a lot of reading, they can start to use this to sort of break it down, create overviews, that sort of thing. It's the studio part which gets a little bit more interesting on here, which some of you might be sort of amazed at, which is you can create a little audio overview. It used to be known as podcast. You click on it and it generates like a very quick audio guide. It does a video one now, which has like slides. You can do a mind map, so it can obviously pull things out a little bit like the tool Steve showed earlier. And then there's some of these sort of reports, so things like a study guide, FAQs, timeline. These are all great revision tools, not just from an accessibility point of view, but from a study skills point of view. And students can obviously share them as well with either peers or with their supervisor or tutor or anything like that, or they can lock it down and keep it private to themselves. The only problem, we were talking about this very early in the call before you all joined, was the free version isn't very accessible from a point of view of using, like if you've got screen reader software, it's not very good at sort of navigating through these different boxes and showing them here. So it's taken a while on that one, but do check that one out if you haven't seen it before. We're seeing in the University of Liverpool people starting to think of assessments around this. But as a sort of, like I said, the study skills tool, or even from an accessibility point of view of just sort of pulling out the reading list and interrogating it, this would be a really nice tool to use. The other thing, just aware we've got 5 minutes left, GPT. You don't need to see the game console there, but this one is, so I'm on a paid version of ChatGPT. We have this in our department. And what you can do on the paid version is you can create your own GPTs, which means that you can sort of direct users to only work alongside content that you want them to see, whether that's like documents that you want to upload or a particular process you want them to go through. So for CIE, we're using it on all kinds. If you come to us and you want to know, redesign your assessment, for example, we've got things about sort of redesigning assessments, rubrics, having a look at good learning outcomes. You can see there's a decolonizing the curriculum one. So we've got them all around this. The thing I want to show you, we've not launched it yet, is with the disability advice and guidance team, is we were looking to design a ChatGPT for custom GPT for students and staff to use, just to get that general support on what's the right avenue, documents that I should go to obviously go further, get that support rather than having to bombard someone with emails. So to build them, it's quite simple. I won't go into the details of building them. You can go through a step-by-step process. You can upload documents, up to about 9 documents or 10 documents to it. And you can always go in and edit it. You can hide the privacy as well, so it doesn't go open to the web for other users to use outside of, say, Liverpool, or I don't want it to interrogate the rest of the web as well. As sort of constraints that you can build on here. But once it works, you can obviously start putting things in here. If I use some of the pre-made ones in here, what's the process for ADHD diagnosis? It's going to search through documents and inputs that we've done as a team, and it should come back with Liverpool stuff. So you can see here, it's pulling out University of Liverpool context. It's got links to the university support website. It's got stuff about UK NHS treatments and all kinds. So these are based on like documents that are behind the scenes. And obviously the student can use it. There's links that go to like STAY. There's some to the DSA team here. So really handy that we want to sort of launch this with students, but I think we're still doing a bit of testing, so it's not live yet. It's not available for students or staff yet, but we're hoping to launch this to just be another element of support for students and staff when it comes to accessibility, that they can go here first and then obviously go and speak to a person or a team a little bit further down the line. I will stop talking I don't know what Bruce's star sign is there, Kat. I'm sure it might come up with it. But rather than going into, we had a discussion activity that we were going to do. Rather than do that, has anybody got any questions that they'd like to ask the three of us about what we've talked about today? Feel free to unmute or put it in the chat. You can put your hand up if you want. There's a react button. You can put your hand up. But has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask? No? All right. Well, I think if no one's got any questions, I mean, we'll hang around at the end if needs be